A psychologist walks into some of the most demanding, high-attrition environments in the country: classrooms, military academies, national spelling competitions, sales floors, trying to answer one question that had quietly followed her through years of teaching and research. Why do some people finish what they start year after year, while others, sometimes more naturally gifted, quietly drop off along the way? The answer she found wasn't intelligence. It wasn't talent. It was something she had to give an actual name to, because nothing in the existing research quite captured it. That psychologist is Angela Duckworth, and the book is Grit: The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Duckworth's research career grew directly out of watching talented students and professionals underperform relative to their ability, while less naturally gifted people consistently outlasted and outperformed them over the long run. That pattern led her to define grit specifically, not as raw intensity or a burst of motivation, but as a combination of sustained passion and sustained perseverance directed at a single long-term goal, held steady across years rather than weeks. The word passion, in her definition, doesn't mean intense enthusiasm in any given moment. It means consistency of interest and effort over an unusually long stretch of time, something closer to loyalty to a goal than excitement about it. This definition immediately separates grit from a much more common trait people mistake for it: raw talent. Duckworth lays out a simple formula to make the distinction explicit. Talent, how quickly a skill improves with effort, is only half of the equation. Skill itself has to then be applied repeatedly through further effort in order to actually produce achievement. This means effort appears twice in the equation: once to convert talent into skill, and again to convert that skill into real, tangible achievement. A naturally talented person who stops applying effort after developing the skill produces less over time than a less talented person who keeps applying effort consistently, because talent alone was never the thing doing the majority of the work in the first place. Duckworth backs this distinction with research across a range of genuinely demanding environments. At a military academy known for its brutal introductory training program, she found that standard predictors like physical fitness scores and academic performance failed to reliably predict who would actually complete the program, while a simple measurement of grit did. Among competitors at a national spelling competition, grit scores predicted how many hours of deliberate practice a child would put in, and hours of deliberate practice, not innate verbal ability alone, predicted how far they advanced. Among new sales employees, grit measured before people even started the job predicted who would still be employed months later, when raw talent and interview performance failed to reliably predict the same outcome. Across every one of these settings, the specific finding repeated: sustained effort applied over time consistently outperformed raw ability as a predictor of who actually succeeded. Duckworth makes this concrete through a specific practice she describes using in her own household, something she calls the hard thing rule. Every member of her family, including herself, is expected to commit to one genuinely challenging activity that requires regular, deliberate practice, something demanding enough that real effort and discipline are required to improve at it. The rule includes a few specific conditions. Each person gets to choose their own hard thing, rather than having it imposed on them, since genuine interest, chosen freely, sustains effort far more reliably than an obligation selected by someone else. Quitting is allowed, but only at a natural stopping point, like the end of a sports season or a completed course, rather than in the middle of a difficult stretch simply because motivation has temporarily dipped. And everyone in the family, adults included, has to be doing a hard thing of their own, modeling the same standard being asked of the children, rather than simply demanding it from them. Duckworth presents this not as a rigid formula guaranteed to produce grit, but as a practical structure for actually practicing the underlying skill the whole book is built around, tolerating the discomfort of sustained effort on a chosen goal without the option of abandoning it the moment it stops feeling easy or enjoyable. The specific hard thing matters far less than the repeated experience of choosing to continue past the point where quitting would have been the more comfortable option. Having established that grit matters more than talent, Duckworth turns to the harder, more practical question: where does grit actually come from, and can it be built rather than simply possessed or lacking? She breaks this down into several components, and the first is interest itself, something she argues has to be developed and refined over time, rather than arriving all at once as a single moment of clear, obvious passion. Contrary to the popular idea that people simply discover their one true calling in a flash of certainty, Duckworth's research suggests that genuine, sustained interest tends to develop gradually through repeated exposure, small early successes, and encouragement from other people, long before it ever feels like a fully formed passion. Waiting for a lightning bolt moment of clarity, she argues, causes many people to abandon promising early interests simply because they haven't yet developed the depth that would make them feel like a genuine calling. Once an interest has taken root, Duckworth argues it has to be reinforced through deliberate practice, a specific, demanding form of practice that differs sharply from simply repeating a task casually, the way most people practice a skill without ever meaningfully improving at it. Deliberate practice involves setting a clearly defined stretch goal just beyond current ability, focusing completely on that specific goal during practice, seeking immediate feedback on performance, and then repeating the attempt with adjustments based on that feedback over and over, often in ways that feel effortful and uncomfortable rather than enjoyable in the moment. Duckworth is candid that deliberate practice frequently doesn't feel good while it's happening, and that gritty individuals aren't people who simply enjoy the grind more than everyone else. They're people who have found ways to sustain that uncomfortable, repetitive effort anyway, because the connection to their broader goal makes the discomfort worth tolerating consistently over time. This raises a question Duckworth addresses directly, since it might seem to contradict everything else in the book. Do genuinely gritty people actually enjoy the difficult, repetitive work their long-term goals demand of them? Her research suggests the answer is more nuanced than a simple yes or no. Gritty individuals don't necessarily report finding every single hour of deliberate practice pleasurable in the moment. Much of it is described as effortful, sometimes tedious, occasionally outright unpleasant. What consistently distinguishes them isn't a unique capacity for enjoying difficulty itself, but a genuine, felt satisfaction in the broader identity and progress that difficulty produces over time, a sense of being the kind of person who does this kind of work, which sustains them through individual sessions that, taken on their own, wouldn't necessarily feel rewarding at all. The enjoyment, in other words, lives at the level of the larger goal and the identity built around pursuing it, not necessarily in every discrete unit of effort required to get there. This raises the natural question of what actually sustains someone through years of effort that doesn't feel enjoyable in the moment. And Duckworth's answer is purpose, specifically the sense that your effort connects to something larger than your own individual interest or advancement. She found that grittier individuals consistently reported a stronger sense that their work mattered not just to themselves, but to other people or to a cause beyond their own personal advancement. This doesn't require an unusually noble or selfless goal. It simply requires a genuine, felt connection between the daily grind of practice and some outcome that matters beyond the immediate, often tedious task in front of you. A teacher grading papers late into the evening sustains that effort more reliably when the task is connected, in their own mind, to the genuine difference it makes in a specific student's life, rather than being experienced as an isolated, disconnected chore. Alongside purpose, Duckworth identifies a final component she calls hope, though she's specific that this isn't hope in a passive, wishful sense. It's closer to a rugged, practiced optimism, a learned belief that your own future efforts can actually improve your circumstances, particularly in the face of setbacks and failure. This component connects directly to research on how people explain difficulty to themselves. Individuals who interpret a setback as temporary and specific to the situation, rather than permanent and reflective of some fixed personal limitation, tend to persist through adversity far more reliably than those who interpret the same setback as proof they simply aren't capable. Duckworth treats this specific habit of interpretation as something that can be deliberately practiced and strengthened over time, rather than a fixed personality trait a person either has or doesn't, which means the capacity to keep going after failure is itself something gritty individuals have often built deliberately, not something they were simply born with. One of the more structurally important ideas in the book addresses how all of this actually holds together over a genuinely long career or life, and Duckworth describes it through what she calls a hierarchy of goals. At the very top sits a single overarching goal, something close to a life philosophy or ultimate concern, and beneath it sit numerous smaller, more specific goals that serve that top-level aim in different ways at different times. Grit, in this framing, doesn't require obsessive commitment to every single smaller goal along the way. Mid-level goals can shift, change, or be abandoned entirely as circumstances change, without that flexibility counting as a lack of grit, as long as the top-level goal itself, the deeper why organizing everything underneath it, remains genuinely constant. Someone might change careers, methods, or even entire industries several times over a lifetime while still displaying real grit, because each specific change was still ultimately organized around the same enduring, higher-level purpose the whole time. Duckworth also addresses directly whether grit is fixed or can actually be grown. And her answer is that it can be built from multiple directions at once. From the inside, deliberately cultivating interest, practicing consistently and deliberately, connecting effort to a genuine sense of purpose, and practicing an optimistic, learnable style of interpreting setbacks, all contribute directly to building grit over time. From the outside, she points to research on parenting and mentorship, finding that environments combining genuine warmth and support with genuinely high standards and expectations tend to produce grittier individuals than environments that are either harshly demanding without support or warmly supportive without any real expectation of sustained effort. Participation in extracurricular activities that require sustained commitment over multiple seasons, rather than activities dropped and restarted constantly, was similarly associated with higher measured grit later in life, suggesting that the actual practice of sticking with something difficult, even in something as ordinary as a school activity, builds a transferable capacity that extends well beyond that specific activity itself. Every piece of this research, taken together, circles back to the same core reframing Duckworth built her career around. Achievement was never simply a direct reflection of natural ability, waiting to be discovered or confirmed through a single test of talent. It's the compounded result of effort applied twice over, first turning ability into skill, and then turning that skill into something real, sustained across years by an interest deliberately deepened, a practice deliberately endured, a purpose genuinely felt, and a hope actively rebuilt after every setback along the way. Grit was never about intensity in a single moment, and it was never about enjoying every hour of the work either. It was always about showing up for the same underlying goal, in whatever form it needed that day, long after the initial excitement of starting had already faded, and long before any outside recognition had arrived to confirm the effort was actually worth it.